Go ahead.
Okay, we have three comments. Victoria Mariani, Emily Wichman, and Madison Williams. In that order, please.
Hi, I'm talking about the item NN School Accountability Report Card. Reading through the document highlights an ongoing point of contention that I have with OUSD leadership and our trusted board members. The School Accountability Report Card lists Oceanside Unified School District's highest paid teacher's salary as $107,875. An average elementary school principal salary is listed at $136,663, and our superintendent's salary is listed as $274,961. So the difference between our highest paid teacher salary and an average salary elementary school principal is roughly $28,788. Our superintendent's salary is double our highest paid teacher salary, plus an additional $59,211. I've asked time and time again for our board to do away with the practice of Me Too raises for admin. It has been said that our superintendent, Dr. Vitale, has stated that the Me Too raise is OUSD's practice, and it's just what we always do. But if that rationale was justified, prudent, and historically used in our great country, then women and blacks wouldn't have the right to vote, and same-sex couples would not have the right to marry. And if it is in fact our standard practice, then having Dr. Norman and Dr. McIntyre as part of the bargaining committee feels like it might constitute a conflict of interest, because they're in fact bargaining for their own salary increase. So they're going to negotiations knowing that it's common practice of the district leadership and the board to give them the same raise that OUSD negotiates for. Many of our OUSD classified staff currently make less money than local fast food employees. I know of one who has worked in the district for 10 years, and her monthly take-home pay, she told me, is $1,700 a month. It's quite clear that a raise for admin is not the same as a raise for certificated and classified employees. Admin already make considerably more money than ODA and CSEA members, so they're not in need of rubber-stamped Me Too raise. I am again asking the board to put an end to the era of Me Too raises and use common sense when considering which employees in the district truly need to be paid a higher salary. Let's use common sense to give more to those who have less and not more to those who already have more. Remember, OUSD can't even keep our classified instructional aid positions filled. Nobody wants to work for peanuts.
I'm speaking on 5Q, the contract for district-wide safety and security. I wondered how the district selected the schools for this project. PalmQuest did have a few more fights than Libby, Del Rio, and Musat. I did not find the Laurel stats in the adopted minutes that the board approved. And I'm looking at the safety plans that was given to, that was here at the board meeting in 2021. Because PalmQuest was selected, it looks like you did not consider the neighborhoods and look at the police reports in the Fire Mountain area compared to Backgate and the Libby Lake neighborhoods. If you're spending $407,000, I think you would consider that asset. I also looked at the middle schools to see which one had the most incidents. While spending $480,000, they did all look similar, but in studying the stats for Jefferson and Chavez, in 15 of the categories of incidents, they were all the same number. In fact, 2 of the safety assessment data for Jefferson, on page 2, the data for Jefferson says Chavez Middle School. So as of April 13th, 2021, you as a school board approved the wrong safety plans for Jefferson. If you looked at El Camino safety assessment data, you would have seen 32 threats of fights, 7 assaults fights, 27 incidences of drugs, 10 incidences of intimidation and harassment. So there's a total of, at El Camino High School, 2021, a total of 95 safety issues. Why not do a pilot at El Camino? I'm sure parents would not be as fearful sending their teens. I will ask again. How did your staff pick PalmQuest? How did your staff pick Chavez and not El Camino? I hope you got more than just the letter that was sent to you telling you about the 21st Sensory intercom and bell system, and a sound system enhancing the teacher's voice, allowing students to hear their teacher via a speaker system, no matter where they are in the classroom. I hope you will consider this and know that some of the things that you've been adopting have not been correct. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Maddie. I wanted to talk about the positive school climate and equity thing. Dr. Sparks is promoting, and I think it's great. I was reading that you have some points that you are specifying, like staff shall assist with cyberbullying, and I think a really great way to assist with that is to remove iPads and computers from elementary school kids. I spoke with one teacher, and she told me that one time she just happened to wake up at 1 a.m. and she noticed that there were fifth graders talking to each other on their computers, because they can do that, I guess. They can G-chat each other. And I just think we need to take away that ability, because studies show that mental health crisis started for our children when cell phones were created. I completely thought that it started when like Facebook or those social media programs started, but no, the creation of cell phones and being able to talk to each other without seeing the social emotional feedback of people's faces is what's causing like lots of mental health issues with our children. So just putting it out there, take away iPads, there might be a solution. Okay, and then the next thing was strategies. You want strategies for connectedness to the school. And this, to me, there's a problem with having connectedness with our school because of an equity divide, because of the ability of people to transfer out of the schools that they're zoned for. I live in a community where there's 15 children and they all transferred out so that they don't have to go to the school that my children go to. And that creates an equity divide. Like if you think about our PTA, there's like 3 women that have the resources to put energy and money and time into the children and the PTA, raising money for field trips and all of that extracurricular, because my wealthy and let's just say my wealthy white neighbors want to go to Palm Quest or Ivy Ranch or Salto. And it creates problems because we need to have these more resources for the communities that can't give back to their school, like to carry them on the shoulders of the people that can. It's impossible with transferring out. Thank you.
We have 7. We'll start out with Scott Boston and Susan Custer.
Alright, I guess I'm first. Hello, I'm speaking on the petition that you'll get to remove Hillary Cuevas. Good evening. I'm before you again to discuss your diversity hire and abusive bullying to our children and staff, Miss Hillary Rodham Cuevas. You'd think I got her middle name wrong, but a bully is a bully. And we are elated at the prospect for the removal of a person who has bullied my wife and I, as well as our sons. First was my son Brody, who missed preschool because liberals destroyed our education system with a fake disease to rig an election. Thankfully, he was put in Mr. Farrell's class and made fast friends and started to open up and thrive. Before we knew it, he was switched to a Kinder First combo class and started to shut down because now he was on the playground with first graders and they would kick dirt on his shoes and say his hair looked stupid. After being told Miss Cuevas wasn't available for a week, we caught her in the kinder area and she reluctantly talked to us. She sat there with a condescending look on her face like it was beneath her to talk to us as we expressed our concerns about our son's removal without our consent nor our knowledge. And Hillary's answer to all this was, we emailed you. No phone call, no letter, no talk from a teacher, just we emailed you. She refused to put Brody back into Mr. Farrell's class, and the only compromise that was made was for my son and the other kinders in the combo class to be taken to the kinder area for recess. So it was up to us as parents to take the extra step with our son where the school failed because of Gestapo Cuevas. At our next get-together, I'll tell you all about when my multiracial son, Ryder, was accused of using a racial slur. And the girl who admitted lying had a grandma who volunteered at Libby and threatened my son in front of the whole school. And she was allowed to stay on by Miss Cuevas. And my son was bullied into signing a no-contact contract without our knowledge nor our consent. And we were told that they were waiting for the situation to just blow over. So I reiterate, Miss Cuevas, the incompetent bully of Libby, like all of you, need to be removed for the safety of our children. Thank you.
Good job.
Good evening. Today I'm going to read an article from a Substack called Parents with Inconvenient Truths About Trans. When I read this, I wondered who will be there to help these heartbroken children and families recover. The schools help the kids transition without consulting the family or even telling the parents what's going on. In other words, the school encourages the students to keep secrets from their parents. When you were growing up, an adult telling their child to keep a secret from their parents was a major red flag that someone may be a child molester. Will you be there in a few years when the children don't know how to live with their mutilated bodies? Will you help the parents live with one of the greatest heartbreaks a parent can suffer? This is written by the brother of a girl during her struggle with identity and will give you some insight into how it affected him. The indoctrination affects the whole family. Silent family dinner. I sat next to the empty chair that my sister used to fill, peering up every so often to see my parents' exhausted and sad faces. Dinners were different a year ago. Gone were the lively conversations that used to fill our kitchen. A new, unwelcome guest was always present. The elephant in the room was transgenderism. The beast had overtaken my sister and sucked all the life out of the family. I learned firsthand how adolescent depression is often expressed by angry outbursts. No one in the family was left unscathed. My dad, always an upbeat guy who was extremely social and goofy, walked around the house with a strained look on his face. My mom fared worse, getting the brunt of the verbal attacks as my sister took her pain out on her. I heard my sister's sobs through the walls and my parents trying to comfort her. I watched my sister grabbed the bag and ran out the front door saying she would never return. When my parents came home from their unsuccessful search for her and sat with their faces in their hands at the kitchen table, I worried along with them. I decided that my job was to become invisible for a while, to not be a burden, and to try to provide some snippets of joy for my parents. I became more independent and responsible. I no longer asked for my parents' help. I learned to be more patient with my sister. I started cooking my own dinner and stopped complaining when the refrigerator was empty. I tried to be perfect or at least limit the time they needed to spend on me. I finally started keeping my own activity
Thank
schedule
you.
and not relying
Thank
on my parents. Please sign your petition.
Petition Mendez and Madison Williams. Please set the clock for 6.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Patricia. Es la segunda vez que vengo aquí con ustedes. Tenemos problemas serios de bullying en la escuela Libby, a lo que nadie parece que nos está escuchando, nadie hace caso. Tengo listas de los niños que están haciendo bullying y como padres sentimos que no es una escuela segura para nuestros hijos, ya que la principal no ha hecho nada al respecto en ningún caso. Creemos los padres que es un problema delicado a lo que no se le ha dado la importancia que tiene. Creo yo al menos que ya no solo la principal es la culpable, sino ustedes, el distrito, porque saben del problema y no han dado respuesta alguna. Todos dicen, en todos lados hay bullying. A mí como padre no me importa todas las escuelas, a mí me importa Libby porque es donde están mis hijos. Quiero respuestas, espero que me la puedan dar. El Libby es una escuela comunitaria donde casi el 90% son niños hispanos. Creemos que eso no debería de ser importante para ustedes y que hicieran más caso al problema. Como padres hicimos una petición, se las quiero compartir. Tenemos firmas de los padres que estamos de acuerdo en que si ella no puede con el cargo, se lo deje a otra persona que sí pueda y que haga realmente su trabajo.
My name is Patricia Mendez. This is the second time that I speak in front of you about the problem that's happening at Libby. Seems that no one has paid attention to this case. I have a list of the children that are bullying. As parents, we feel that it's not a safe school. The principal has done nothing in any of the cases. We see that there's not attention given to this matter, not from her or from you all, from the district. We haven't received a response. I've been told that bullying happens at all the schools, but it doesn't matter to me what happens at the other schools. The school that I'm concerned about is Libby, and I haven't heard a response. Something about our school is that the community is 90% Hispanic. Doesn't seem to be important to this case, but there's a problem, and as parents we have brought forward a petition that I'm going to share with you now. We've collected signatures, because if the principal cannot fulfill her responsibility, we want someone else who can.
Thank you.
My name's Maddie. I'm a mom of two, a pediatric occupational therapist that specializes in neural development and sensory processing. I'm here to die on this hill of screen time. I know I said earlier to take away iPads, but what again I'm urging you to do is to remove YouTube from the iPads and search engines. So I discussed with you all about the research as to why this is harming our children. I talked about how I discussed with the IT tech person and his response. And now I want to talk about like these real life situations that I'm hearing from people within San Diego school districts. So I've worked at Vista Unified and I have kindergarten teacher friends, and they have noticed this year that there's a high percentage of children that need classes. And if you think about the children that are coming in kindergarten right now that need classes, they are the 12 to 15 month to 18 month old kids that were part of the pandemic, where parents were having to, do what they needed to do to get work done at home. and putting screens in front of their children's faces. I was one of them. But we are seeing the ramifications of excessive screen use today in our school children. And then to continue that use of screens to extensive amounts is alarming and concerning. Then the other thing is I've spoken with teachers, and it does kind of harm their lesson planning. So specifically, an example, my daughter forgets to charge her iPad, second grade, it happens. So she doesn't have it for school, and then the teacher can't perform her lesson, which is a problem in itself. We should be able to do lesson planning without the iPads. There's pens and papers, which are actually better for children for feedback, for learning. And then on top of that, the discipline that happens after it, for some, not all, was recess is taken away, which, as you know, is going to be legal soon, which is great. So that just perpetuates this problem of children sitting. You know, we're getting away from movement-based learning, which is very important. And what I wanted to say was, like, Ms. Evans, I agree with you. This is like a really exciting time in this district, I think. I've watched this district since I was a child, and to see it blossoming and becoming more, and it makes me excited, and that's why I'm here to talk to you, because I want us to be better, and I want us to lead by example and be innovative with the way that we teach these children. Children learn through play. You only need 10 repetitions of play-based learning for them to get something, whereas if you teach in the classroom 100 times, that's how they get it. So 10 times.
Thank you.
Michael Richardson, Emily Richmond, and Perry Alvarez.
First, I want to acknowledge the report that Dr. Levy made about the books. And you mentioned that someone in the public approved of the history book. I want to remind you that when I did say that, I asked you, I begged you, to reinstate the Constitution test that used to be given for decades, until the 90s. For decades, was given to 8th graders as a condition of graduation. And I ask you again to consider reinstating that test. Speaking of history, the Emperor Nero fiddled while Rome burned. Yeah, I'm sure he thought it was funny. Emperor Nero ignored the needs of his people and played the fiddle, while 70% of their homes burned to the ground. You've all heard the story, but you probably haven't heard was that he built a lavish new palace on that scorched earth. Sound familiar? Julie, you and this board are Nero. You have fiddled while Oceanside students are failing. You are failing them. Meanwhile, you're building a new $40 million headquarters instead of educating the kids. 60%, you saw the test score, 60% of the kids can't read at grade level. 70% can't do math at grade level. But they sure know a lot about deviant sexual behavior. They know a lot about pornography. We've proved it. We demonstrated it here. They know a lot about aberrant lies about our history. Thousands of kids have been sentenced to a mediocre life. But you don't care about the only thing you are here for, giving them an education. My question to you, all of you, is when will one of you recognize that this is a hair on fire moment? hair on fire moment. When will one of you just deny the superintendent of her hold on you and stand up and say, we need to do something about this now? Nancy, you were to do it. You have the least to lose by betraying the boss. The boss. Isn't that tragic? You're supposed to be the boss. You, the board, is supposed to be the boss over her and direct her, not the other way around. Why don't you break this 5-0 stranglehold that Tally has over this board and stand up for the kids? It's time to declare an emergency. Spend the $40 million. Oh, I know, it's designated for a building instead of the kids. That's a lame excuse because the money is there. You can give it to the...
Thank you.
Meanwhile, here's a fiddle for you.
Emily Richmond.
Thank you, sir.
I'm not done yet. He identifies it.
Sorry.
So anyway, here's a
Sure.
fiddle for the superintendent to entertain herself. While our kids are failing.
All right. Topic of ethnic studies came to this board, and I could not just stand down. What Eleanor is talking about, I'm sure, is the 2020 ethnic studies curriculum that you all adopted, that the superintendent brought to Oceanside. Eleanor was on the committee, and it's great and wonderful. Well, when I heard about ethnic studies going around, I thought, surely art ethnic studies is going to be great. So I asked Dr. Lawrence for a course. Of course, he didn't know me from anybody, and he asked me, and what do you want it for? So I laid it on in my 5-minute resume. So I did get that, and once I looked at it, I thought, holy cow. So I gave it to a bunch of my friends, and you probably all remember that we all slammed you, we all attacked you on what that ethnic studies course was all about. It still is. That's what they're doing right now. It was all about oppressor, oppressed, whiteness. It was all about, again, very racial, very biased, and I kept saying, this isn't Oceanside. This course is not Oceanside. I mean, we all know, well, let's say most of us know what the makeup of Oceanside is. I mean, even our school district is 75% minorities. It's not minority anymore, it's our little white people that are the minorities. And in these studies, we shame them. There's white privilege, there's the whiteness talk. All that is in that ethnic studies at the moment. So after being harangued, Dr. Lawrence did call me and say, hey, we're going to have a community advisory. Of course, I said, I want to be on it. We have some members that are kind of far out there, one on one side, one on the other, but we did have Lillian Adams. And we did have Marlene Scott on there, and I appreciate those women because we looked at history as we lived it in our generation. The younger ones looked at history now, how it affects them now, but you have to go back there, and they were very, very good as far as putting some of this into perspective. I want to say that I have looked at the 2023-24 final outline, the course overview for the new one, and you will be looking at, hopefully we'll have a meeting before the end of the school year. We haven't had one yet. But I look forward to looking at that because I know teachers have been working on it, we worked on it, and it's not going to be like what you have now. It's not going to be what you guys wanted, it's going to be what the community wants. And so I couldn't sit back and just take, oh yeah, this is great and wonderful, because it's not great and wonderful. It was totally critical race theory, if anybody understands that. It was totally that, it was victimhood, and our minority kids aren't victims. They're go-getters, they can do things. We're not going to say that we're victimized and the whites are doing this to us, because most of our kids are half and half, just like my kids and many of yours. Thank you.
Oh, Mike's smiling. Oh, that's good or bad.
Wait till I'm done, Mike. Okay, so I actually wrote this down. I'm not gonna ramble a little bit here, so I will go off topic probably. My name is Perry. I'm a parent here and I'm a student here at OUSD. In the past, this board has been attacked by those whom have said that they were Christians, followers of Christ. They sometimes call themselves pastors, wives of pastors, leaders in the community, but these Muppets don't truly embody the message of Christ. If they did, they would be speaking about how Christ saved them from sin. So please continue the work that you have embarked on to create a learning space for all of God's children, whether Muslim, Buddhist, or some other belief, because this is a public education facility. So, with that said, my main reason for speaking tonight is about Julie. This isn't personal. You and I have sat and chat, had lunch, and talked, and you know where I stand. So it's not personal, okay? It's about your leadership skills and where that is. I remember the day 2 previous boards ago, which included Emily Richmond, when they announced that you were replacing Dwayne Coleman. I spoke then and said that Reggie Thompson should have been named interim superintendent, and I stand by that today. Your need to be in control by telling good employees what they could and could not say to board members, I believe is out of line. This is why those good employees left to find employment in other districts. You caused them to leave. Well, I'd like them back, and in order to do that, there has to be a space for them. Your experiences and skill sets would be better served by something you believe in rather than in your current job. OUSD, the parents and scholars have waited long enough to see change. Unfortunately, there has been little to no change in the way things are done within the districts since you have been superintendent. The cabinet, little to no diversity. Why isn't Dr. Lawrence Richard on the cabinet? The organizational chart, as one person said today, is made up by the board members, and you're below the board. Perhaps you need to understand that. And why are there so many schools in disrepair and so many maintenance tickets open? Am I done? How much time's left? Oh, okay, because I see that, I got scared, sorry. How come when the janitor Pablo Talk wouldn't clean up the bathroom from a child who had a bloody nose, how come he wasn't fired? Why did the teacher have to clean it up? Why does he have an office as big as the principal? And why doesn't he do his job? When that same janitor hit the night janitor and caused a fight, why wasn't he fired? Okay? Why hasn't the principal of Pablo Talk been written up for not getting rid of that janitor? My time's up?